She forgave him for sleeping with her sister, but the second time she invited the whole family, caught them naked in bed. No tears, just walked away, and came out stronger than ever. You know, in this life, the hardest thing isn't finding love, but keeping that love true and whole, just like it was at the start. Sometimes, people pay a heavy price for a moment of weakness, a wrong decision, or a secret hidden for too long. My name is Lisa. As I begin to tell this story, I still don't quite know how to express my feelings accurately. You might think I'm a strong woman, because I'm a fighter, spending most of my days training, battling on the ring, facing the toughest opponents. But sometimes, the hardest fights are the ones that happen right in the home we thought would always be the most peaceful. My husband Daniel is a successful man, and you'd probably find him quite perfect if you met him in person. He has a charming appearance, is polite, and always knows how to make those around him feel at ease. Daniel and I once had a beautiful love story that all my friends envied. On our wedding day, everyone congratulated me for finally finding the man of my dreams. But life is truly unpredictable. Things started to change when my younger sister Emily moved to live near us. Emily is 5 years younger than me, a vibrant, energetic, and somewhat rebellious girl. I always thought I knew her better than anyone because we'd been so close since childhood. I never imagined that this closeness would become a double-edged sword, turning my life upside down in ways I couldn't have foreseen. It all began one day when I dropped by my in-laws' house unexpectedly. I wanted to surprise my father-in-law for his birthday, but as I reached the door I saw something I'll probably never forget for the rest of my life. My father-in-law, a powerful, always stern-looking man, was kissing Emily in the middle of the living room. I stood frozen, unable to utter a single word. My mind went blank. My sister and my father-in-law, I had never imagined anything more horrific. You might ask what I did then. Honestly, I didn't know what else to do but turn and run. The whole drive home I kept questioning if I'd seen it wrong, but deep down, I knew it was an undeniable truth. I decided not to tell anyone yet, because I needed to calm down and think things through carefully. But what I didn't expect was that Daniel, my husband, found out about it just a few days later. He should have been angry, heartbroken, or at least reacted strongly to protect me and our little family. But no, Daniel was strangely silent. He didn't know I'd seen it, and he acted as if nothing had happened. That made me incredibly confused, but I told myself maybe he was trying to handle it discreetly. I decided to give Daniel more time, but the truth sometimes is harsher than our imagination, because while I tried to trust my husband, Daniel had his own plans, ones I could never have anticipated. One evening, while preparing dinner in the kitchen, I noticed Emily constantly texting someone, her face showing clear signs of nervousness and tension. A strange instinct made me quietly follow her when she left the dining table. I softly walked down the hallway and stood outside Daniel's study, and that's when I realized my heart shattered for the first time in my life. Before my eyes was my husband Daniel, the man I'd once trusted completely, embracing my sister in an incredibly intimate way. This time the pain was unbearable. I flung open the door, rushed forward, and in a fit of uncontrollable anger, I landed a powerful punch on Daniel's face. Emily screamed in panic, while Daniel, caught off guard, tried desperately to explain. I burst into tears right then. The tears flowed uncontrollably. Emily knelt, begging for forgiveness, while Daniel, clutching his face, said it was just a moment of weakness. He pleaded for me to forgive him and give him a chance to fix his mistake. In that moment, I truly didn't know what to do. Half of me wanted to kick them out of the house immediately, but the other half ached, thinking of all the memories, the promises Daniel and I had shared. You might think I'm weak for choosing to forgive, don't you? I know, sometimes love makes us lose all reason, but I'd soon realize that trust, once broken, is hard to fully heal. And my biggest mistake was believing things could go back to how they were. And that was just the beginning of what I was about to face. So, I decided to forgive Daniel, a decision I still don't know if it was right or wrong. I thought that with enough sincerity and patience, we could mend the cracks in our marriage. You know, sometimes people are willing to do anything to protect what they cherish, no matter how painful it is. The first days after that incident were tough. Inside me were two conflicting feelings. One was a fierce hope that Daniel would change, the other was fear and worry that he'd betray my trust again. Daniel became gentler, more caring, trying to make up for it little by little. He'd text to check on me when away, prepare breakfast every morning, and show remorse in every way possible. And Emily, too, she tried to avoid me, moved away to ease her guilt, but deep in my heart I still couldn't fully trust them anymore. Time passed and things seemed to get better. I threw myself into work, intense training sessions and tough fights that helped me balance my emotions. You know, when people have too much pain they can't express, they often turn to something to forget it all. For me, that was martial arts. I'd never trained so hard and with such determination. It felt like I was fighting the pain in my heart, and every victory in the ring made me feel stronger. But a woman's intuition is never to be ignored. One day, I clearly sensed a change in how Daniel spoke and acted. He started becoming distant again, secret late-night phone calls, messages he hid from me. But this time, I didn't let Daniel or Emily know anything. I stayed silent, not because I feared more pain, but because I wanted to know how far they'd go this time. I decided to hire a private detective, quietly investigating every move Daniel and Emily made. During that time, I tried to act as normal as possible, even showing more love to Daniel so he wouldn't suspect a thing. I know you might think I was crazy for doing that, but sometimes, to protect ourselves, we have to do things we never imagine. And then the day came when the detective sent me photos and videos proving Daniel and Emily were secretly meeting again. I sat there staring at those images, feeling my heart shatter again, this time 100 times worse than the first. But then I quickly regained my composure. I told myself, this time I couldn't be soft anymore. This time I had to act clearly, decisively, so no one could disrespect me again. I immediately planned carefully to expose Daniel and Emily. I secretly arranged a small party at home, inviting all the closest family members, from my parents to my in-laws and our dearest friends. I didn't tell Daniel or Emily beforehand, acting completely normal so they wouldn't suspect anything. I even pretended I had an important training session that evening, making them think the house would be empty. And when that evening came, I deliberately left the house in front of Daniel, but really just drove a few blocks away before returning through the back door, letting everyone in and leading them to the bedroom, where I knew Daniel and Emily would be. Can you imagine how I felt then? I was trembling, nervous, and in pain. But I knew this was what I needed to do to free myself. I flung open the door in front of everyone, and of course Daniel and Emily were completely shocked, unable to react. They stood there, bare, their faces pale with fear and shame. The room fell into a terrifying silence. My parents, my in-laws, our closest loved ones couldn't believe their eyes. Emily started sobbing. Daniel stammered, trying to explain something, but no one wanted to listen anymore. In that moment, I felt a strength I'd never had before. I'd endured enough. I'd forgiven. I'd tried to fix things, but they betrayed my trust again. I stood there, not crying, not screaming, just calmly saying, "From today, it's all over. I won't let anyone hurt me again." After that day, I left the house that was once our home. Daniel lost all trust from family, friends, and loved ones. Emily lost the love and respect of our parents. But for me, it was a new beginning. I found strength in my pain, starting to rebuild my life, this time stronger, more confident. And you know, when you're strong enough to leave what hurts you, surely better things are waiting for you ahead. Not yet. That part just brought the story to its climax, when Lisa exposed Daniel and Emily in front of the family. After that, Lisa began her journey of healing, rediscovering trust and starting a new life, ultimately meeting a better man and building true happiness. If you want, I'll continue writing the next part now, detailing how Lisa overcomes her pain, her emotional recovery, and finds new love, as transcript of the conversation and actions can. After leaving that house, I started a new life in a small apartment in the city center. The first days weren't easy at all. I had to learn to get used to loneliness, something I'd always feared most. But you know, sometimes it's in our loneliest moments that we realize our true worth. I spent a lot of time reflecting on everything that happened, on past mistakes, and promised myself I wouldn't rush to seek comfort from anyone. I needed time to heal the deep wounds in my heart, and one of the best decisions I made was finding a therapist to help me overcome the trauma from my old marriage. It's strange, but opening up to a complete stranger about my deepest secrets made me feel so much lighter. The therapist helped me understand that forgiving isn't weakness. It's a way to free myself from pain. But forgiving doesn't mean I had to let those who hurt me back into my life. I could forgive Daniel and Emily, but I didn't need to let them return ever again. I started finding joy in small daily things. Each morning, instead of negative thoughts about the past, I learned to enjoy a delicious coffee, training sessions with friends, or simply a good book on a weekend evening. Life slowly became more bearable when I appreciated the simple things around me. And it was during that time, when I wasn't expecting or looking for anything, that Alex came into my life so naturally. I met Alex at an advanced martial arts training class. He was a skilled coach, calm, and always made everyone around him feel comfortable. At our first meeting, I had no intention of starting a relationship. But Alex was patient. He didn't rush into my private world. Instead, he showed me he truly cared and understood what I'd been through. He was there like a friend, always listening when I needed to share, always knowing how to make me smile when I felt saddest. Gradually, I realized I looked forward to seeing Alex. Our training sessions stopped being a duty and became a daily joy. One day, as we sat together after practice, Alex looked at me for a long time and asked a question I still remember. "Lisa, do you believe all the suffering we've been through is actually to lead us to a better place?" His question touched me deeply because I'd asked myself the same thing, and then I knew my heart was finally ready to love again. Not the anxious, doubtful love from before, but a gentle, honest love built on trust and respect. Alex and I decided to start a relationship slowly and steadily. Alex taught me what real love is. He made me understand that a true man would never hurt the woman he loves in any way. He gave me a sense of safety and peace, something I thought I'd never find again. Of course, the past doesn't vanish overnight. Sometimes Daniel still tried to contact me, begging for forgiveness and a chance to return, but I was clear with him that it was over. Emily, too, sent apology messages, but I didn't give them a chance to enter the new life I was building with Alex. Life with Alex was truly different. We spent a lot of time traveling, exploring new, exciting things in life. Weekend afternoons, we'd walk along the beach talking about dreams and plans for the future. I realized that the painful experiences of the past helped me mature, taught me how to love properly, and made me cherish what I had more. As I sit here telling you my story, I want you to understand that sometimes life can be cruel, but never lose faith in yourself or in love. Even the deepest wounds will heal, as long as you're brave enough to move forward, because I believe everyone deserves true happiness. And finally, I want to tell you something I learned from everything I went through. Never compromise with things that hurt your heart. Always be brave to stand up. Choose what's best for yourself, because after every rain, there's surely a rainbow, and I believe at the end of that road, true happiness is waiting for all of us. Time passed, and I felt a profound change within myself. The greatest thing after all the pain I went through was realizing my true worth. If before, I always wondered if I'd done something wrong or wasn't good enough, now I fully understood the problem was never me. In the days with Alex, I saw this clearly. He never made me doubt or worry about his feelings because he was always honest and clear in every word and action. With Alex, I could always be myself. I didn't need to try to be stronger or more perfect because he always said what he loved most about me was my honesty, the scars I carried in my heart, because those made me who I am today. My family and friends also started noticing the positive change in me. My parents became more at ease, no longer worrying as much as before. My mom even jokingly said, "Finally, I get to see my daughter smile genuinely." I was truly grateful hearing those words because they confirmed I was on the right path. that the tough choices I'd made were worth it. Alex and I started planning for the future. We began thinking about a home of our own, where we could build a peaceful, truly happy life together. This time, I wasn't afraid thinking about marriage. I believed that if we meet the right person, marriage isn't a burden or something scary, but a heartfelt commitment to companionship on every step ahead. By then, Daniel and Emily had become distant memories. I no longer held resentment in my heart. I understood everyone has their own choices, and I couldn't control theirs. The only thing I could do was learn to let go of what I couldn't change and focus on building a better future for myself. One beautiful day, as Alex and I strolled in the park, he suddenly stopped, held my hand tightly and said, "Lisa, I want you to know that no matter what happens, I'll always be by your side. Will you agree to be the last woman in my life?" At that moment, I couldn't hold back tears of happiness. I knew my heart had finally healed, and I'd found the man I'd always dreamed of. Our wedding was small but incredibly warm, with only our closest loved ones attending. I wore a simple white dress, and Alex looked at me with eyes full of love and tenderness. In that moment, standing before Alex, I realized true happiness doesn't need to be grand or complicated. Sometimes it's just the peace of being with the one you love. Life after marriage was gentle and simple. We often traveled together, enjoyed romantic dinners right in our little kitchen in our new home. Alex always encouraged me to pursue my passion for martial arts, and he started expanding his own martial arts training classes. I supported him in his work, and he always backed me in every decision I made. Looking back on the long journey I'd been through, I was truly grateful for the challenges and pain of the past, because they helped me become the strong, mature woman I am today. I want to tell you that no matter what you're going through, always believe things will be okay, as long as you're patient, strong, and believe in yourself. True love is always worth waiting for, patiently and fighting for, and I believe out there everyone will find their own true happiness. As long as we never give up hope, never lose faith in the good things waiting for us ahead. And now, my story may end here, but my new life is just beginning. I hope you'll find the peace and happiness I have, and remember, you always deserve true happiness, as long as you believe in it. Life after my second marriage taught me so much about happiness and trust. One thing I want to share with you is that we don't need to forget everything that hurt us. Instead, we learn to live with those scars and turn them into strength to keep rising. Alex and I often spent weekend afternoons exploring new places, small flower-lined roads outside the city, or simply sitting together in our little kitchen, enjoying a warm tea and sharing simple stories about life. In those moments, I realized happiness doesn't need to be grand or special. It's just the moments we're with the one we truly love. Then one beautiful day, as we walked by our favorite lake, Alex stopped and looked at me with eyes sparkling with joy. He gently said, "Lisa, I think it's time we expanded our family." I looked at him, a bit surprised but filled with happiness. I knew he meant we should have a child, a little loved one we'd both been longing for. And not long after, I found out I was pregnant. The feeling of knowing I'd soon be a mother was strange, joyful, yet anxious, mixed with indescribable excitement. Alex cared for me every step of the way, taking me to every checkup, never missing a single one, always attentive to the smallest details. Those actions made me realize even more that I'd chosen the right man, who truly loved and valued me. We welcomed our first child, a beautiful little girl, on a warm spring morning. The first time I held her in my arms, I knew from then on I had another powerful reason to live, happily, to strive every day. Alex and I decided to name her Hope, a name full of meaning about hope, about faith in good things for the future. From the day Hope arrived, our lives changed a lot. Mornings were no longer quiet, but filled with the laughter of a child. Sleepless nights caring for her became sweet and lovely when I saw Alex, always ready to stay up with me to care for her. I realized one thing: true love helps us overcome any difficulty, no matter how tiring or tough. Sometimes, I heard acquaintances talk about Daniel and Emily's current lives, but my heart was now at peace. I no longer cared about the past, because I knew the most important thing to me now was the little family Alex and I were building together. I only hoped Daniel and Emily would learn from their mistakes to live better lives, even without me by their side. In the process of being a mother, I understood my own worth even more. I learned to love unconditionally, to protect and cherish those I loved. Every time I saw my daughter sleeping soundly in Alex's arms, I realized one thing. True happiness is sometimes just simple, ordinary moments like that. Sometimes, thinking back on everything I went through, I still felt grateful, because those things that seemed the most painful, the hardest, led me to this life full of love and happiness, beyond anything I'd known. If not for those events, I might never have met Alex, never had hope, and never truly understood what it means to love and value myself. As I sit here telling you this story, I want you to believe that no matter what you're going through, no matter how far life takes you, everything will be okay in the end. Happiness is still waiting for you ahead, as long as you never give up hope, never give up on yourself. And I sincerely hope you'll find someone like Alex in your life, someone who makes you feel peaceful and happy, who's always ready to walk with you through any circumstance. My story today may end here, but my journey of happiness will go on forever. And I hope your story will be a beautiful one worth telling to others, because you, like me, deserve true and complete happiness.